the most successful outreaches that you're going to do to hiring managers specifically, like for example, if you have a job posting, take a look at, okay, what are they really talking about? And like, this may sound weird, but tune into your gut. There's going to be something that jumps out at you that you're like, wait, why is this jumping out at me?
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenly, and welcome back to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change and instead teaches you how to make that change. Today, we have an amazing Tactical Tuesday episode ahead of us, but before we get into that, I just want to tell you a little bit about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show here. Some days we have interviews with industry thought leaders and others who are shaking up the space, while other days we cover things like trending topics. Stop by every Tuesday like today for a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. Some days we open up for Q&A, and other days you get a mic drop episode from Matt where he shares something that he's been thinking about within the recruitment space and wants you to know. Now, as a reminder, if you love the content that we share here on the show, make sure that you subscribe for more. All right, today's Tactical Tuesday. How do you get a hiring manager's attention in today's world? Do you email them? Do you call them? Do you send them a DM on LinkedIn? Followed by one too many, hey, just floating this up to the top of your inbox messages. Do you stalk them outside their house? Hopefully not. Who knows? Or maybe do you do something a little bit different? Are you standing out from a crowd in a way that gets their attention and not in that creepy way that I just mentioned? Are hiring managers replying and saying that they're interested in taking a call with you to help them out? And for many of us, I think we'd love to be in that latter group, and that's why I'm excited to get into this with your favorite Tactical Tuesday co-host, Vivien. Vivien, welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, so getting the attention of a hiring manager. Very easy to say, very hard to actually do. So let's unpack this one for me. What are some of your tips, recommendations? How are you going about this?
It takes a little bit of research, work, and effort, like all the good things these days. Nowadays, we have so many different automation tools that everybody started using them, which also means that hiring managers as well as candidates are getting an influx of like generic, very broad emails that are very non-specific. And with hiring managers, when you are doing business development, you want to stand out because ideally you want to solve some kind of problem for them by finding the right person that is going to solve the problem that they're really battling with and dealing with. So anytime that they have any kind of job opening, they're not just trying to fill like an empty spot in like the soul of the company, and find that amazing teammate. There's some kind of skill set that they're specifically looking for. There's some kind of skills gap that is causing a problem within the company, and they're wanting to fill that skills gap. And a lot of times they will hint at exactly what they're looking for, the specific things that they're missing within the job posting itself. And so the most successful outreaches that you're going to do to hiring managers specifically is, like, for example, if you have a job posting, take a look at, okay, what are they really talking about? And like, this may sound weird, but tune into your gut. There's going to be something that jumps out at you that you're like, wait, why is this jumping out at me? I did this once with a VP of finance role for a German manufacturer up north. And they mentioned specifically something about like heavy experience with like the financial component of mergers and acquisitions. And I actually had a really great candidate that was in the same industry that walked through a lot of mergers and acquisitions and pretty much has perfected like the financial component of all of this. And that's the exact message that I wrote. I literally wrote 2 sentences just saying, hey, person has like the same background, like experience that you're looking for, but they actually have a lot of experience with like mergers and acquisitions. Thought you might be interested based on this like job posting. I got an answer immediately, and they connected me with their internal HR person. I had 2 other coworkers from my agency reach out to that person because they knew them personally, and they were ghosted. The outreach that they used was, hey, we have a really great candidate that might be a good fit for your VP of finance role that you have open. That's not really solving a problem. Why is the hiring manager going to respond to, I have a great candidate for you, without telling you about the candidate and what makes them great and why I, as a recruiter, think this is a great candidate for you specifically? So this is where you got to do a little bit of research. You got to tailor the outreach a little bit more and basically say, hey, I see you have a problem, without saying, I see you have a problem and I have the solution, but more so, hey, I noticed you're looking for a VP of finance. I have someone who happens to have the exact skill set that you're looking for, but like mention that exact skill set. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, if their interest is piqued and they're really like, it's like the candidates are as dry as the Sahara Desert, they're going to respond.
Yeah. And this piggybacks so well off of the episode that we released last week with Kyle Coleman. So he was talking about with outreach, be relevant and be specific. You were relevant. It was about the very specific. I don't want to confuse people when I say specific next. You're very relevant about the role that they were hiring for and your outreach and everything else. But then you got specific with a very detailed part of the job description that you were talking about and made it important to your outreach, focusing on that and tying that to the candidate that you did have. And I think that's why, again, it's not just, hey, saw you're hiring, how can we help? But very relevant to them. Here's the job that we're struggling to hire. And here's the exact component part of not only like, do I have someone, but like, this seems to be a big pain for you. And I hear that. And I have someone that has tons of experience doing that exact thing.
Exactly. I think one of the things that recruiters have a tendency to miss is that, yes, as a recruiter, you do want to help hiring managers find the person that they're looking for, but you have to tell them specifically, hey, this is how I can actually help you. This is my understanding. And because, like, for example, I received an email from a recruiter. That recruiter emailed me saying, hey, I'm working with a candidate that would love to work at Loxo. Do you want to see their resume? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to respond to you because I don't know who this person is. Like, there's nothing that is piquing my interest where I would be like, yes, send them over. And even though I'm not the right person to reach out to about this specifically as of right now, if there was something about this person that really would have been relevant for a position that we're looking for at Loxo, I would have forwarded that email to the relevant person at Loxo. And so even though I wouldn't have been the one to like help with that, I can still foster that connection. And so you have to do a little bit of research and specify why exactly are you reaching out and how can you actually help them? Because just kind of like throwing it out there of being like, of course, as a recruiter, you can find someone for me, but I need someone specific. And the first part of that is you have to drop a little something into their favor bank to get something back. And that dropping something into the favor bank is you doing the research to figure out what exactly is this hiring manager looking for, and basically telling them, hey, I know what you're looking for, by just basically repeating it back. So when I did the message with the VP of Finance, I literally copied and pasted that one sentence about the mergers and acquisitions from the job description and just rewrote it so that it fit into my little note. And that was it. And I got a response. I got connected to HR. We submitted the candidate over and everybody lived happily ever after.
Yeah, I love that example. I feel like we could end this episode just on that alone, with that being such a good story and an example of how to go about it. But I know you also have more ideas and thoughts for how people can go about this, where sometimes, you know, they don't already have a job lined up. They don't have the perfect, MPC to go and pitch some of that. So from the beginning, like, what are you doing to try and get the hiring manager's attention if you're just looking at this more broadly?
Yeah, so if you don't have an open rec that you can specifically reference, you could just reach out and kind of keep an eye out for recent press releases or any kind of like news articles. So if it's a larger company, most likely there's some kind of like news release of like, hey, this disaster happened, or this is something new that they released. Sometimes the company will do a press release on their own, kind of announcing something. Typically, when they announce something like this, there's going to be something where they're going to probably need specific people to help them. Whether it's a crisis, they're going to need someone that can help them with the crisis if they don't have one already. And the other part of that is going to be if they have, if they're growing and they're expanding, they released a new product, you can say, hey, I just saw that you did this. I actually recently talked to someone who actually went through this entire process. Happy to try to kind of like make an introduction or something like that. So check out recent like press releases and news article, just so that you have like a general pulse for what is going on with that company, so that you can say, hey, I know what you guys are doing. I see that you are growing, you're flourishing, you're doing interesting things. My guess is you're growing. You might need a couple of people with specific skill sets. Let me know what you're looking for. No like commitments or anything like that. I'm not going to send you like a contract over or anything like that. But if you tell me what to look out for as I'm searching for other clients, I can let you know when I find someone. And then if it's a good fit or something like that, we can sign a contingent agreement if it really needs to be a contingent, and kind of like take it from there and see where it goes after that. Mm-hmm. And so that's an option.
Yeah. And that's such a good one. Like press releases, news articles, even in today's world, so many more CEOs, VPs of other organizations are being more active on social media, like LinkedIn especially. So go add that to your list too and see what they're talking about, or podcasts that they've been on. That's another great one that you can go and just find out like what are they talking about, because usually they share things that are very recent and important to them at that point in time, which is super helpful for you and your research, and where you can come in and be like, oh, that's an opportunity for me. Tie that in. If you reach out to the hiring manager and just say, hey, I just saw your CEO shared this on the podcast that she was recently on, that's going to get their attention and they're probably going to reply.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's really just that personalized touch to kind of say, hey, I did go above and beyond. And the thing is, even when you're going above and beyond, people don't owe you a response as a recruiter. So you have to keep that in mind. But it's always best to do your best and to have that integrity, because that way, if they ever look you up in their inbox, they see that you have had a really good track record in their inbox specifically, that you've always been the one that has gone above and beyond, that you've always kept kind of an eye on what's going on with that team, with that company, and kind of always had like their best interest at heart by kind of being like, hey, I saw this, I have a candidate with XYZ experience. Let me know if you want to chat about this one. Like, no commitments or anything like that. Let's just have a friendly chat. And that leads me to the next method, and that's just checking out the hiring manager, kind of their career path, seeing, do you have something in common with them? If you don't have anything in common with them, which is totally fine and possible, have you talked to any candidates that have had like a similar experience, and just kind of say, hey, I would love to just kind of network, get your thoughts on where this industry is going. I saw that you released this new feature. I saw that you're encountering this like problem and this crisis. Really interesting how you handled that. I would love to just kind of like, no biggie, like chat with you just to kind of keep a pulse on what's going on in the industry. I promise I'm not going to try and pitch your candidates, but then also stay true to that and just kind of foster relationships. Not every interaction that you have with hiring managers or candidates needs to be transactional. You can always just say, you know what, I know you're not hiring or anything like that, and I don't want to pester you about that, but I really like what your company is doing. I'm in the same space. I think you guys are really onto something here. I would love to just network with you and pick your brain on some ideas that you're having, some trends that you're seeing, and that's it. And see where it goes from there.
Mm-hmm. Build a relationship. Who would have thought? It's crazy talk.
Yeah.
Just don't be creepy, like we said earlier. That's where the line goes. So, okay. So you've researched the company. You've researched the hiring manager. Is there any other research that you're doing?
You can always like research a little bit more about the job and just in general of like what's going on. You can also like chat with candidates about what they're seeing and their experience, especially if they've been at that company. And just, I guess like the best way of like approaching this is be a Roomba for knowledge.
I like it.
And just kind of like, as you're picking up bits and pieces, they're always going to come in handy, because you're going to start connecting the dots, and you connecting the dots, that's where you are coming in and to bring in the value, because over time you're going to have insider knowledge from a lot of different people, because as a recruiter, you are talking to hundreds of people every single week, or at least you should be. And you're getting insider knowledge. And this is where you're building relationships. You're finding out things that aren't always in press releases. Press releases are always very curated. They're very tailored. There's like a PR and marketing spin on it and things like that. So there's always like a different angle that they're kind of using to do this. And you're going to get like different info from somebody who has been there and is able to disclose a little bit or give you a little bit more of the tea of what's going on. So you always want to kind of like foster these relationships, because ultimately you might be talking to someone today that is going to actually become like work with someone that you really want to work with, or actually turns out has a relationship. They went to college together. They were in the same sorority together. They can make an introduction. You never know the connections that people have. So in terms of research, just cast a really wide net, talk to people, exchange some ideas, and pick up like the little bits and pieces like a Roomba and piece them together later on.
I love it. That analogy cracks me up. All right. So you have Roomba'd your way into a lot of knowledge, a lot of insights to share. How are you using this as part of your outreach, or however it is that you want to capture the attention of this hiring manager?
So with hiring managers, you have to keep in mind, as managers, as any kind of like people managers, they're probably getting a lot of emails day in and day out. And so the last email that they want to see is probably from another recruiter trying to solicit a relationship and an agreement and money from them. And so you want to keep it short and simple. You want to get straight to the point, and literally just 2 sentences. I would probably keep it as short as like that little invite note that you can do on LinkedIn when you're connecting with someone. It's like 250, 300 characters or something like that. Literally, hi, first name, saw that you're looking for a VP of finance. I have a candidate that has experience with like the financial component of like mergers and acquisitions. Happy to make an introduction and chat further. And that's it. Like that's all it is. They don't want to read 50 paragraphs or anything like that. Drop a quick note, keep it super simple. Something that I've been hearing a lot more recently is also that hiring managers are getting so many emails that they're just not bothering with them. And so the easiest way to get a hold of them is by calling them. Calling is making a comeback these days, apparently. And so give that a try as well. Worst case scenario, you leave them a voicemail and you never hear back from them.
That's amazing. I was strolling Reddit the other day and I saw someone post something about like, why do I need to cold call to do biz dev? Can I just send a LinkedIn messages to people? This doesn't make sense. They got ripped apart by people just like, let me know how that goes for you. Let me know all the new business that you're attracting, the new recs that you're achieving by only doing outreach via LinkedIn, via email only. And so many people were chiming in with to the effect of, it's like, you might capture a little bit of their attention, but I'm closing more deals, getting more attention with a good, proper call. And even on that, this is something, it's so interesting to see. I'll get 10 calls from numbers a day that I have no idea who they are. They're the auto dialers, right? I will maybe once a week out of 50 calls have one voicemail, but I haven't had any this week. I haven't had any last week. So that number is starting to go up, 100, 200, who knows? But to that point of, if I don't know who you are, if it's a number that I don't recognize, what incentive do I have to call you back? None, zero. If you leave a voicemail, if it's a shit voicemail, like, yeah, I probably won't call you back. But to your point of like, leave a quick 2-line voicemail. People read these voicemails nowadays too. Hey, I've got this great candidate for you. Saw that you're interested in mergers and acquisitions. Like, if this is interesting to you, let me know. You're standing out from the $200 people that have not left me a voicemail, and I have your number. I'll probably call you back. But yeah, for whatever reason, people are sleeping on cold calls and sleeping on voicemails. Again, I think those are two big opportunities missed.
Oh, for sure. What you also have to like keep in mind is whatever majority of the people are doing, that also means that is very, very saturated. So it's really hard to stand out in that way. So you have to go to where it's not saturated. You have to do the things that other people don't want to do. People don't want to do cold calls. It is weird to call hiring managers and executives and like, especially try to like get through the executive assistants and all that kind of stuff. That is weird. I hated doing that. But guess what? This is where you actually have the most success. Do the thing that nobody else is doing because you're competing against less people. In general, yes, you're competing against every recruiter that is out there, especially the ones that are targeting the same clients as you are. But you can kind of like change how many you're actually competing against by how you are doing business development. If you're doing what everybody else is doing, you're competing with the other 99%. If you are doing what only 1% of the other people are doing, and it's you and maybe like one other recruiter, if that, maybe, your odds are going to be a lot better with that. So do what nobody else is doing. Be unconventional, but obviously don't like intrude and like put a random like calendar invite on without ever talking to them on their calendar. I saw that and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, when you get those straight up where they somehow get your auto reply or something that has your calendar link and then they grab time and you're just like, no, you didn't earn this. I'm sorry. Remove. Okay, I love that. I love that be different, be unconventional, do what other people aren't doing. Any other last second thoughts, tips, recommendations as we start to wrap this one up?
The one thing that I will say is give people a reason to respond to you, and not a reason like that you think they should respond to you, but from their perspective. Give them a reason where when they read it, they're like, oh, I have to respond to this person. It has to be in their best interest to respond to you. And so you have to get a little bit, not as selfish, and kind of put yourself in their perspective, in their shoes, and kind of think, okay, if I were them and I am desperately looking for somebody with heavy experience in mergers and acquisitions and the financial component of this, then you have to present it in that way so that you're hitting like that button that activates a response from them. That is like, oh, I have to respond to this person immediately. Otherwise, you're just one of many.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's such a good note to wrap on. So, Vivien, as always, truly appreciate you coming to join us for this. I I feel like we could go on and on and on about this, and that's why I'm so glad that we are doing this entire August series on all things biz dev. So great addition to it, very tactical. Hope it inspires recruiters to start being a little bit unconventional, in your words. So as we wrap, Becoming a Hiring Machine is a production of Loxo. If you love this episode but you're not sure where to go next, we've got a link to a similar one in the show notes, and you can find that in the description of your podcast streaming platform. Full video episodes are available. If you ever want to send us a question, you're looking for advice, send it over to us, podcast@loxo.co. And if you really, really, really enjoyed this episode, please make sure to leave us a quick rating in your podcast streaming platform. It takes 3 seconds, but it helps other recruiters like you to find us. So, all right, everyone, that's the show. That was Vivien blowing our minds yet again with another great Tactical Tuesday tip. Until next time, bye, y'all.